Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. This is Nate from Texas. I'm just infuriated by this. I mean, this is so incredibly ridiculous.
Absolutely.
I mean, where did people get the idea that you can just pull a gun on the government and get what you want? And I mean,
because it's a thug. Because it's a thug mentality. It's a thug mentality, and it's just this fusion of entitlement and delusion and fantasy and resentment. That's why.
And misinformation, maybe. I mean, people on the left are saying, "Why is the government after this guy? And why are they, trying to take away everything else? Maybe because he's been breaking the law for 20 years."
Yeah.
And
I think the real issue I think the left has with this is just that it looks bad for the government the way they did this. I mean, regardless of whether they decided they needed to come in with this sort of force or not. I mean, that's one issue. But when you know that there's so much media attention going to this story, and from who specifically, and how they'll twist and turn even the most innocuous of things, I think they should have handled it a bit differently. How, I don't know. I'm just saying that they should have. They're the experts at this. They should have maybe took these things into consideration. But of course, with all that in mind, this does not in any way excuse A, what he's been doing, B, his side's response to this with the armed militias and everything. It really is scary. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
It's totally irrelevant at this point whether he's right or wrong, which he was wrong. But it's totally irrelevant when you start pulling guns on government officials.
Well, no, you're absolutely right.
Telling them to give you their guns. I mean, what kind of craziness? Do they not understand what government is?
I agree with you, and actually, your connection's unfortunately a little choppy. But I just want to say before we get off that I agree with you 100%, and I think like there is this balancing act, because obviously we spend a lot of time covering, and all kidding aside, if there was a right-wing group that was out, exercising their constitutional rights to protest, to organize, and they got, cracked down on by a police department or inappropriately monitored or something, I would absolutely speak out against that 100%. But the truth of the matter is that not only, I mean, they're in a situation where they know this history, so they know that these are people who might actually engage in violence. And number two, I mean, the problem when it comes to the right and the militia groups is the opposite. I mean, we saw this attack yesterday that we mentioned, this terrorist attack at the Jewish Community Center. And, Fox News and everybody else had a meltdown when the Department of, when the Homeland Security came out with a report several years ago saying that, right-wing domestic terrorism is a serious issue. I mean, and it was shut down.
And why aren't they talking about that synagogue attack and calling it terrorism?